Hey everybody, good morning. Happy Tuesday, April 24th. We are here with my friend Russ Scala with our personalized medicine show. Everybody and everybody has a story, what your doctors won't tell you. That's a mouthful, but it's true, right? So, and we are here weekly, Tuesdays at 11:30, so please check in. Please have questions prepared. Please do some research and ask us anything, because Russ is totally 100% open with that. For that. So let us know you can hear us and see us while I'm doing this, because I want to make sure people can hear us and see us. That's always my biggest thing. Paul Richards is on. Hi, Paul. Just give me a thumbs up and let me know you can hear me and see Russ's beautiful face this morning on this gorgeous Tuesday. Yeah, I don't know if I told you, but I've done a full show where nobody could hear me at all. All right, we got a thumbs up. All right, so we really do want to engage you, though, before we get into the show. We want you to ask questions. We want you to bring your personal questions to us. If you're not comfortable doing it online, then absolutely reach out to Russ. I tag him in every episode tag that I do, every episode post. So make sure that you reach out to him. Feel comfortable. He's your proponent. He's your advocate. So welcome, my friend.
Hey, brother. How are you?
I am good this morning. I got a little spice in my step. I don't know what's going on. I'm ready for the world to come at me like it's been coming at me for the last week or two. And I'm ready for it now. So I love all of the topics that you are sending me to look at.
Okay.
And you tag me in those, and I'm glad that you do, because I actually have people who are interested in the topics like bipolar you talked about. You also talked about the gut. I saw an article recently on concierge doctor's offices. So all of that is coming to fruition. Hi, Khaled, right? Khaled, did I say it right? You'll give me a thumbs up. So we have a lot to talk about, and people are fascinated by this topic because they really are tired of everything that they're going through. Me personally, even, I have a new health insurance.
Okay.
Try to get into a new doctor who's on the list, and I can't get in until May 22nd. And I've got some sinus issues, some things that I think need to be looked at, taken care of. So what that's going to force me to do is go to GuideWell, which is kind of like the non-emergent emergency care.
Gotcha.
Which is silly. Why can't I go to my doctor? It's ridiculous. You have that many appointments. So yeah, I'm frustrated with the health system just like everybody else.
Well, that speaks to us having to take care of ourselves. Folks, a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today is on the Russ Scala YouTube channel. We're going to talk about the psychiatric community and the psychology community that for 100 years has been treating the head with talk therapy and not looking at other multiple metabolic systems of the body when it comes to bipolar, depression. These are labels that this community gives people. And, these labels, when somebody's told they have bipolar or a broken brain, that's a lot different than having cardiovascular disease and cancer. They actually really think there's something wrong with them. So what we're going to talk about today is there's other parts of the body that can impact your behavior. Okay, there's other, your intestinal tract is a second brain that could influence your mood. So we're going to talk about the other things that you could ask your doctor before you get a prescription for an SSRI, Prozac, Paxil, Zoloft, or an SNRI. What can you do? What questions can you ask to protect yourself?
I love that. And so let's start there, because you posted an article about 1 in 4 women are being treated for bipolar in America, I believe, bipolar disorder. And the article basically posed the question, are we treating emotional issues with medicine like that?
Right. I think, listen, all of us experience trauma and bad times. And folks, I work with the outliers and the emergency medical personnel, the high-level executives, the war veterans. Some of these people have been involved in some horrendous traumas. Me being a paramedic attached to the SWAT team, I've seen a lot of bad stuff. So the way I used to handle that was I was medicating myself with alcohol and simple carbohydrates back in the 80s, and it took a while for me to find out what works for me. When you go to a doctor and you're dealing with depression is multifactorial. It can come from a lot of areas. And do we really want to medicate that? I'm not shooting down antidepressants. They could be a bridge to get you, to a good mood. But also remember that when a woman is under stress, she lowers her hormonal levels. And we know now that natural progesterone binds to the same receptor sites in the brain is Prozac and Xanax. So if a woman is under stress and she's suppressing her thyroid, and she's suppressing her adrenal glands, and she's suppressing her progesterone levels, okay, whether it's a mother that's working, as a paramedic, or a mother that's in a very high stressful job, if she's suppressing her natural hormone levels, why don't we try to, correct her thyroid and her adrenal function? That will impact her mood. Let's look at her intestinal tract, which is the second brain, before we put her on an SSRI or an antidepressant. And again, this is on the Russ Scala YouTube channel, folks. I'm talking about the gut-brain connection,
right,
on questions that you could ask the doctor, because Dr. Peter Breggin wrote a book called Toxic Psychiatry. This doctor blew the lid off the psychiatric industry, and he said, listen, these drugs are damaging over time, when really we should be looking at multiple metabolic systems. Again, it's called toxic psychiatry, not a conspiracy theory. We know that these antidepressants can also become addictive, because I've developed with physicians here in town an antidepressant withdrawal protocol where we're balancing people out nutritionally and hormonally and weaning them off the antidepressants milligram per milligram. That's how hard it is to get off these meds.
And so what happens? Like, why is that the primary or the first, I guess, line of defense that physicians, psychiatrists think is to just medicate? Like, I have friends that go to a psychiatrist appointment, and I'm not knocking psychiatrists, by the way, but they go to a psychiatrist appointment and they're in and out in 5 minutes, and it's really just a refill meeting, basically.
Yeah.
And there's no real discussion. So psychiatrists, I had to learn this. I thought psychiatrists also did treatment, also talked to you and checked up on you and checked your vitals and checked where your head was at. And it's not like that in the experiences that people are sharing with me. That's what a psychologist does.
Yeah, I think if we track the history of psychiatric and psychology, the American Medical Association back in I think the 1920s were shutting down a lot of medical schools, and they came out with certain medical schools that they wanted everybody to go to. And the psychiatric community really didn't have any diseases. So they created the DMS, I think at the time 1, where all the psychiatric illnesses, back then I think in the 1940s and 50s, there was only 100 mental illnesses in here. Now there's over 300. So this is what a doctor diagnoses you with. I mean, why isn't there a blood test for bipolar? Why isn't there a blood test for depression? And there's not. So a physician will use this, a psychiatrist will use this book, and because he could bill insurance, he will give you a label.
Right.
And again, what does that label mean? We know depression and bipolar, people I've worked with, war veterans coming back, these symptoms are multifactorial. They come from multiple areas, and just giving somebody Prozac or Xanax isn't always the best thing to do.
Right. Well, doesn't it just, like, I feel like the people who have been on Prozac or Paxil that I've known, it's almost zombie-ish. It takes away all sorts of coping mechanisms.
No, really, and that's a great way. If your intestinal tract is out of balance, if you've gone through a trauma, okay. Let's look at war veterans or police officers as an example. I'm very in tune with them. They go through a trauma or they go through a bad situation like the Pulse shooting. Some of those guys did not return to work.
Right.
Okay, so the way we would help those guys with my physicians is we would look at all their nutritional, hormonal deficiencies and their intestinal tract, and along with talk therapy, design a treatment protocol that focuses on their brain chemistry. For instance, folks, we can measure serotonin and dopamine levels in the brain, our feel-good neurotransmitters, with a urine sample. Now, if somebody has low neurotransmitters and we could affect that nutritionally or hormonally, wouldn't that be a lot better than giving somebody an antidepressant where they become the walking wounded?
That's what it is. It feels like that.
You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not shooting down. We are all biochemically unique, folks. We cannot treat everybody the same way.
You say that a lot, so I got a lot of questions on that. And basically, that means that you're saying, which I agree with, you can't blanket treat. So if you're in this DSM-5, I remember it as DSM-3. That's how old I am. But DSM-5, and you've got this diagnosis. What they do is they treat you across the board. It's a blanket treatment. There isn't anything that's really measured in your body. Like you were saying, there's no blood test that's run for bipolar or depression. And yet everything can be different because you're unique.
Yeah, exactly. So folks, everybody has a different shoe size. The traditional medicine is one Model T Ford black coming off the assembly line for everybody. The doctors, the great doctors that I've known and I've worked with and I've trained with for the last, 30 years, they have to see 20 to 30 people a day. They can't spend time and treat somebody. So what that does is that allows us to become the CEOs of our own health. That's why I started the Russ Scala YouTube channel. Just by you watching a video that I created on the gut-brain connection, if you do go through a rough time and you go into a doctor and he wants to prescribe you an SSRI, you can say, wait a minute, I know that my thyroid has a lot to do with how I feel, and I know that they're giving thyroid T3 for depression right now, and the thyroid is something I produce naturally. I'd like to try optimizing my thyroid, doc, before you put me on an SSRI. And that's how you empower yourself.
Well, they listen. So this is the thing. A lot of people, we keep talking about on the show every week how you really need to be your best advocate, you. But it's a challenge because the doctors they have limited amount of time, and then you're in and out quickly, and then to actually have a conversation with them can be a challenge. And then when you have a conversation, a lot of times you're either fluffed off or you're kind of you're made to feel like your opinion is not knowledgeable enough. But let's say somebody wants to go in and push that. What happens when they don't want to run what are our suggestions for them? Because we had a lot of questions.
Well, so,
what do I do?
Yeah,
what do I say?
So again, you got to take charge of your health, folks. Listen, I know you all are respectable out there. I've sat down and acted as a patient advocate for 20 years. I put research in the doctor's hands sitting with people and they fail to look at it. There's sort of an arrogance out there with some physicians. They're like, who are you to question me? I totally get that, but remember the book I talked about, The Patient Will See You Now?
Yeah, that's an amazing book.
That's all changing. People are going to take control of their health. If the doctor doesn't work with them as a team member, they're going to find another doctor.
Right.
If you put research in front of if you give your doctor research saying that the brain chemistry in depression is impacted by subclinical hypothyroidism, and you put that research in his hands, and he doesn't act on that, time to find another doctor.
Well, I think that's another thing, is that you all know this and probably don't want to admit it, but it's true. You have the ability to shop, just like you get to shop for your insurance, you get to shop for your doctor. And there's no reason to stay with a doctor unless you've got this plan that has 3 physicians on it. I understand. I had a lot of people question me on that. Ted, I've only got 5 physicians I can pick from that are taking new patients, kind of like the thing I'm going through where I don't get to see them for over a month. What am I going to do? I don't have that many options. Well, try them out. Just because you go to another doctor doesn't necessarily mean that it's the choice you're going to make. Try it out and figure it out, but at least do something, is my personal humble opinion. Let's talk about, we had a lot of people ask about pH and acidity, which I don't think I hit you with, but I put it on the post. The pH in the body and the acidity in the body, is that truly something that impacts all of our health? Is that tied to the gut? Is there any truth to that, or is that just another one of those things out there that is building $1 billion business?
Well, I think a lot of multi-level marketers, not shooting anybody down, but they sell products that make the body more alkaline or more acidic. There's a lot of research out there. I do believe that we are all biochemically unique, and we are not what we eat, we are what we absorb. I think that, and we do know, folks, we have sodium and potassium pumps on every cell in our body. So maintaining, every day we need about 21 minerals, 13 vitamins, 8 amino acids, 2 essential fats, a little bit of starch and sunlight to create ATP, energy. And we all have different nutritional deficiencies. To focus just on pH, I think your body, if you understand the metabolic pathways involved in how you pull nutrition out of food, there's millions of metabolic reactions that affect our body that keep us in a state of homeostatic balance. It's truly amazing. Again, getting back to intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet, that sort of maintains your body's pH. Certain people say if you eat too much protein or eat too much fat, you're going to be more acidic. The research is out there because people, they want us to eat more carbohydrates. There's a big battle going on between the ketogenic community and the vegan community. Again, I think you should find out what works for you.
Sure.
And remember that there are essential fatty acids from fat. There are essential amino acids from protein. Our body is like a hybrid engine. There's not really any essential carbohydrates out there. There's only a certain couple of tissues in our body that run better on glucose. That's part of our brain and our eyes. Our heart can actually run better on fat. You know, the ketone called beta-hydroxybutyrate. There's a lot of new research coming out, even for endurance athletes.
Isn't that the opposite of what we've been taught?
Yeah, well,
for
I mean,
all these years?
the cardiology
Makes me
community
crazy.
is changing. That whole paradigm is changing. Fat does not cause heart disease, and you'll see more and more of that coming out in mainstream media, folks. There's actually cardiologists around the United States that are saying, listen, we got it wrong. If you lower cholesterol too low, cholesterol is the one thing that makes up all our hormones, and if you lower cholesterol too low, you will damage the heart and the brain, and that's going mainstream. So you could.
That's great.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
That's exciting because I've been studying heart patients since I've been in high school,
Right.
and then becoming a paramedic, working on them, trying to save their lives. Now I kind of always knew that, you know,
There was
what I
more
mean?
to it.
Yeah, there was more to it, and now I'm like, you know, I'm really excited that people are empowering themselves. That,
They are.
Yeah,
I think
it's-
everybody is really realizing, again, it goes back to personalized medicine. You have to figure out what it is, what is going to help you, because like you said, we're all uniquely biochemical. Right?
biochemically unique.
That's it, biochemically
Yeah,
unique.
well, just say we all have different shoe sizes.
We all have
then-
different shoe sizes.
Yeah, exactly.
But what about, so we had a lot of people who watch the show who are either taking or are selling, or both, the water that apparently has more alkaline in it, or more like a heavy alkaline. And I've tried the water. I have to tell you, it was incredibly tasty. But this would impact everybody differently because we're all different.
Yeah, exactly. Your microbiome and your intestinal tract, the bacteria that you have in your intestinal tract, you are not what you eat, you are what you absorb. You got a genetic propensity to a different metabolism. Like if we could understand what our great grandparents ate and what part of the world's regions they were in, if we ate that way, then our genetics, you know, we're eating more towards our genetics. Now our epigenetics is our behavior and what we do on a daily basis. That could actually change the way genes work. You know, folks, I say get educated. I don't think there's going to be one thing out there that you could take. Just one
Everybody
thing.
wants the magic pill,
No,
right?
no. You gotta drill down. I have people keep a food mood log. There's 8,000 foods out there.
A food mood
Yeah,
log?
so people can track how they feel after a meal. All right, here's the deal. There's 8,000 foods out there. We have tendency to eat just 11. Some of those people eat foods that they're allergic to, and it affects their metabolism.
Yes.
And some people are allergic to broccoli. Who knew?
My son is allergic to salmon and peaches.
Okay, so who knew? See what I mean?
And until he was tested, because he's got something similar to Crohn's, not exactly. We've got a question. Where should someone hey Edgar, hey buddy, where should someone that's looking to start a ketogenic diet start?
Hey, first you could go to my YouTube channel and look up the ketogenic diets that I have on my YouTube channel. I could go deep, take a deep dive into it in 20 and 30 minutes on how it protects the heart, or you could just see a quick 3-minute overview on how to start it. If you just Google the ketogenic diet and how to get started, there will be a plethora of information shot back at you.
Right.
But remember, you need a coach to really do the ketogenic diet the right way, because you're going to pass through something called the carbohydrate flu. As your brain gets used to burning fat instead of glucose, you could hit some down.
Sure.
So your mood could drop off a little bit. So, be careful, when you, I think it's an amazing diet. I think the paleo community is doing great things in educating people. But what I found is it has to be done the right way.
Correct.
Certain people are carbohydrate sensitive. Certain people have somewhat, I don't want to say an addiction, but they have a propensity to gravitate towards the carbohydrates because carbohydrates are poor man's Prozac. It makes you feel good.
It does.
So when somebody's going through a stressful time, I'm not going to mess with their diet. I'm going to let them, that's taking a page out of the book called Potatoes Not Prozac, which I talked about.
Right.
So if somebody's going through a rough time and they say, Russ, I'm eating baked potatoes and pretzels and I'm drinking, I'm like, cool. I'm not going to say anything.
Do you have to? Colleen, I absolutely adore you. I don't like the answer to this, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. I really need to do this. Do you have to eliminate alcohol? Asking for a friend.
No, here we
I
go. Here
adore
we go. Here, guys, take this. Ted and I are going to do a show on this. Let's take a page out of the drinking man's diet from the 1950s Mad Men era. Eliminate the beer, the liquid bread, and stick with the hard liquors and you could lose weight by suppressing insulin levels.
It's the love language.
No, my doctors, the guys I work with don't like hearing that, but I have a lot of clients that drink.
Right.
So another thing that we do is we tell them that when you drink too much, you elevate estrogen levels, and there's ways to block the estrogen for my clients that have to socialize a lot.
I love it. So I thank you for asking for your friend Ted. I appreciate that very much. Sonia, what did you? Okay, so Sonia said, great seeing you last night, by the way, at that event. To check food allergies, take your blood pressure in the morning, then eat one food, only then take your blood pressure again. If it's raised, you're allergic. Did you try that? Did somebody tell you that? I'm fascinated, so you'll have to inform us how that goes. Does that really, if you take a food that you're allergic to, does that elevate your blood pressure?
I think you should take the blood pressure in both arms, and some people it won't elevate. The best thing to do is take a food sensitivity test that looks at like 200 different foods, and then you get a readout. Here again, folks, you're empowering yourself by doing the testing.
Correct.
And then you do the testing and you cut those foods out of your diet, and that's one more piece of the puzzle of your personalized medicine program that you will not hear from a doctor. They don't do food sensitivity testing.
No.
So
I had to have it. I had it done. I had the basic allergy test done at my primary care, and I'm allergic basically to cats. And some wood, I don't know, some kind of crazy stuff out there, like pollen, like all of us are. I'm impacted right now. But on the food side, when Hunter had to have the food test, I was amazed at the things that he's sensitive to, things that we thought were healthy. So think about that, peaches, salmon. Like we were feeding the kids salmon because we thought red meat was impacting his intestine.
You see why the food mood log is important?
Yes, it's so
I know
important.
It's a pain in the ass, but do the food mood log. Take some notes, folks. Listen, folks, nobody's going to do this. Nobody's going to get you out of the railroad tracks more than you forming your own community, emailing your friends, drilling down on this stuff together. Ted and I will always be a phone call away to help steer you, keep you on course. We're going to start doing more classes we're going to focus on specific topics with disease, the intestinal tract, and meet with folks at different parts in Orlando so we could kind of take this stuff to the next level.
So one of the other questions that was big, and we've talked a little bit about it, but we've got like 5 more minutes, so I'd love to talk about this. So your vitamins and the synthetic vitamins that we're taking.
Right.
So right now, my doctor actually told me to use the gummy bear chewable vitamins. And I feel guilty every single time I chew them because they're made up of all sorts of fake, artificial everything, and they're full of sugar. But I don't know how to maneuver through the crazy amount. If you Google vitamins, forget it. You could have 9,000 million pages.
Okay, folks, this is good. So we'll lock it up with this. Sorry, I had too much coffee.
You're good.
No.
Apparently I did too, because I'm going off the rails.
This is like really important. Everybody's inundated with nutritional information. What do we need? Well, we know that cultures have been living in the African rainforest, the Aborigines, the Dinkas in Africa have lived to 80 years old by eating a strictly meat diet. Synthetic vitamins, really, folks, I've been doing nutritional testing with advanced research labs for 20 years. I actually flew to these laboratories, met the PhDs. You really want to look for your nutritional deficiencies. And on one hand, you have a bunch of synthetic nutrients. On the other hand, you have a Greek salad. Your metabolism is going to pull more nutrients out of that Greek salad than synthetic nutrients. In fact,
Correct.
The synthetic vitamins may cause metabolic imbalances in the body. Again, not trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but real food is important.
But they're synthetic, and that's what I want people to understand, and I'm as guilty as all of you are, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They're synthetic. So when I'm taking them, like I have a vitamin D deficiency allegedly because of my Hashimoto's. So my vitamin D is on the low of the low of the low.
Right.
And so they prescribed, initially they gave me a prescription level of vitamin D. But that, when I changed doctors, that became more of a challenge to get. I don't know why. And so John Wild, I love you. I will refrain from commenting on that. You can see his comment. He's hilarious. But the vitamin D, when I did the research, I was like, God, if I'm deficient in that, no wonder I'm having XYZ problem. And I don't know if that was self-fulfilling prophecy there.
I think remember, folks, we're all biochemically unique. And let me leave this thought with you. instead of swallowing a bunch of synthetic nutrients, wouldn't it be great if we could pull nutrients out of the food that we need? Well, how do we do that? Well, first we test the intestinal tract. I've been testing the gut since 1996 with these advanced research labs. Test the gut, clean up the bifidobacteria and the lactobacillus so you pull more nutrients out of food. Now when you eat a meal, whatever that meal is, say it's a paleo meal with salmon, now you're going to pull more nutrients out of food, and you're not going to experience muscle wasting or sarcopenia once you get in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. Because as we age, we want to maintain our muscle mass, folks, because muscle mass is a reservoir of vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that keep us healthy. And also on the Russ Scala YouTube channel, I've got sarcopenia, folks. You can look up my muscle wasting program and look how muscle wasting affects us as we age. Because we have 8,000 people a day turning 65 for the next 20 years. They're going to need this. People like you and I that are taking care of elderly parents are going to need this. You're not going to get a muscle wasting program from your doctor. They're going to medicate grandma and grandpa, move them over to the corner, and not talk to them. When in reality, we could be cleaning up a 60-year-old, 70-year-old person's gut, so they're pulling more nutrients out of food. And with your gut being the second brain, not only did you protect them from muscle wasting, but you elevated their mood and their brain chemistry.
Right.
Holy mackerel!
Which is huge.
How about that for a protocol?
I love it.
Right.
All right. So ask us questions, send us questions, reach out to Russ directly, reach out to me, and I'll get it to Russ. We want to engage you guys. We are going to have our community talk. We just need to pick a date, so we're working on it. I had a lot of people ask me what date we had set. Meetup.com has a great vegan group in Orlando. I love it. There's so many opportunities out there. Be your advocate. You're the only one that can tell what your body's going through, in my opinion. Like,
exactly.
You know your body better than anybody else. Even if the doctor or the blood work says XYZ, if you haven't driven it deep like Russ talks about, then you're probably missing a lot of components.
Folks, you are your mothers and fathers and people out there. You're the CEO of your own health. A doctor's going to look at lab work and he's going to say you're in a normal range, and you're going to say, I have these symptoms.
Correct.
A doctor's going to say you're in the normal range. It must be in your head, and you're going to say, no, I have these symptoms. That's where you got to take charge, folks.
Yep, I agree. So do it. And then Willow, thank you, and I will put you in touch with Russ. She posted Russ's website that obviously you can get to the videos and get to the information that he has. It's always a joy to have you on. We love you guys every week, but interact with us during the week. It doesn't have to wait until Tuesday. Russ is here to help, and we want to do more. We're trying to build this community up, and you guys are such a big part of it. We appreciate you guys. All right? Have a good one.
Bye, folks. Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you. We love you.